4-0. Me and Drizzy like the Super Bowl, man. Then it big as the.
And we are on. Welcome to the McMurtry Performance Podcast. This is episode 1. There's much to be learned, so if it sounds funny or looks funny, this is my guinea pig, right? I take the athletes I've known for a long time and said, hey, you got to just volunteer for some shit. You're here. Right?
Yeah, we're
Welcome. Welcoming, introducing Colin Foil. He is an athlete I've trained since he was 14. And you came to me developmental, right? Tell us a little bit about your background. You made your way from Dunham High School to traction, navigated through that. Where'd you start?
Yeah, man. Well, happy to be here. First one, hopefully a lot more important people than me will appear on this podcast eventually, man. So I'm born and raised in Baton Rouge, and I had an older brother who worked out with Tevin at the original traction over by Prairieville. He was probably like 10, so I was probably like 6 or 7 whenever. So I knew about it from like picking him up with like my mom or my grandfather or something. And then I played baseball here it was Marucci at the time, and then Traction came and bought it out. So I was familiar. So then I started working out at Traction when I was like 11 with Tevin. Just doing like speed and agility classes outside. No lifting weights or anything like that. None of the fun stuff. Just a lot like running and changing directions. And then I worked out here probably through till I was 15 or 16, and then at Dunham, our weightlifting coach retired, and Traction came in and started leading our workouts there when I was probably a junior in high school. So I've kind of been involved with Traction, working out from the time I was like 11 to when I graduated at 18, and I still work out here sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been almost 10 years in the making here.
Yeah. You came back recently bigger, right? I guess to start, so when you said your strength coach left, you started with Traction, you moved into more of like a high school based setting. Tell us about training, specifically lifting weights, agility. Like, what do you feel like matters in training a baseball player? What do you feel like matters in performance versus just, hey, get in the weight room and sweat and grunt and lift? Like, what have you learned over your journey?
Yeah. I was telling you this the other day. Like, kind of my big saying recently has kind of just been hit the stimulus and go. And maybe I don't have as much energy as I did when I was 16, or as much of a drive to come in here and work out for like 2.5 hours a day like I used to in high school. Or like,
miss those days, man.
Or like I was thinking about like we'd lift at Dunham like 3 times a week, and then I would do a push-pull leg split in the morning. So I was working out at least 9 times a week, sometimes like 10 or 11 if I want to do a 2-a-day. And I guess I just don't have the energy to do that anymore. I still love doing it, but 10 workouts a week, looking back, is kind of like actually kind of psychotic. And I think that at least now it's just like, getting strong is definitely like important, but where I'm at now, like getting stronger isn't really going to help me much with throwing a baseball harder. I'm kind of at the point where it kind of flat lines, or maybe even like I might get too bulky and lose certain range of motion, so that would actually hurt me. So for me, it's more of just like I hit the stimulus. So a lot of times I'll do like a heavy compound for like 2 or 3 sets of lifting heavy, which is kind of what I naturally want to do. But then the rest of my workout is looking a lot more like explosiveness, isometrics, plyometrics, hitting the fast twitch muscles and helping, like whatever muscle group I'm training that day. A lot of time it's like chest or glute work, stuff like that, hamstrings, and making sure that I can stay strong there to be healthy there, but also be able to produce a lot of force and move weight really fast with those muscle groups. And so just doing that, like my workouts are a lot shorter. I'm a lot healthier. I feel better than I ever had before. And my fastball velo is just jumping, just because my body's just naturally like receiving and sending energy a lot more efficiently.
Yeah. Dude, first of all, wait till you're 37. There was a time where I lived in the weight room. Warming up? Nah. What are we doing? We're touching a barbell and we're going. When you talk about the stimulus, man, so first of all, when you're younger, you can just go. You just go, go, go. What am I doing? Do this, do that. How many? I don't care, right? At one point, there was a back injury, right? So I guess what came of a back injury? Was it training related, or do you think that your training was off at the time? Like, what really led to that? And what was the recovery process you had to kind of start to go through?
At that time, everyone told me it was like weightlifting, but I didn't really believe them, or like I didn't want to believe them. To be honest with you, it's probably a little bit of everything. Like, I don't think it was just like one thing. I think that I had a goal to play college baseball, and I knew I had to work super, super hard. Been ingrained in me since I was a kid, and I also knew at that time I kind of had a long way to go to get to what I wanted to do. So, you know, I'm lifting, like I just told you, I'm lifting at least 9 times a week. Hitting every day, I'm throwing every day, I'm trying to get my 60 time down. So, and like it was just a lot of wear and tear on the body, and I probably didn't do the best job of like, you know, like stretching or recovering. Like, obviously I didn't recover well if I'm working out 9 times a week, right? So it just wasn't sustainable for me. But I don't think it was just I don't think it was one thing. For me, at least for recovery, like I just kind of just sit on my tail all day long, especially like that summer.
Yeah.
I missed my whole summer going into my senior year, which is like, it was supposed to be a big summer for me to play in front of some coaches and stuff I was talking to, and I didn't get to play, obviously, so that was a little bit depressing, and all my buddies were playing, so I didn't get to hang it. They were all on the road, so I was just kind of just chilling at home. I couldn't do either of the two things that I really love to do, but it was a lot sitting around. They gave me this big heavy back brace that I wore like twice, and I'm just like, screw it, I'm not wearing this thing. I'm just gonna chill.
You look like Forrest Gump with the big back brace.
Yeah, it was so uncomfortable, and I couldn't move with it. And I would have rather I tried to wear it to school like one day on like the first day of school, and it was just like, it looked like I was like 180 pounds, and I was like 155 at the time. Maybe it wasn't a good look. I hated that back brace, and I threw it out. But it was a lot sitting around, and so I got hurt probably like middle of May, and I didn't get back to PT here with Poche until like early September, and then I wasn't 100% like swinging, throwing, lifting. Like I had like a ramp up process that they put me through, so I wasn't 100% healthy till Thanksgiving break. So from the middle of May to like the end of November, I was just either doing nothing or rehabbing to get back to where I was. So I lost like 6 months of development or whatever it was.
Yeah. So my first injury was a separated shoulder, AC joint, and they don't really tell you, along with the injury, the psychological motivation to continue, right? It's like you see your buddies on the road training, you're seeing Instagram going, you're seeing that they're doing this, things are happening, and you feel like stagnant. And navigating injury for me as a coach is, as much as it is the stuff, as much as it is, hey, we need to do these exercises or these training programs or these things, it's about also is like, look, every day we have to attack that goal and move forward. It's like you have these days where you're just bummed. Like you're psychologically like, man, it just feels like it takes forever. They told me 3 weeks, and it's 3 weeks later. I'm not running. I'm not doing the things I thought I'd be doing. And you just have to trust the process and kind of know to continue to push yourself forward. So you had a good experience recently, right? You have moved on to Elon University, and you made your way to the Baton Rouge Rougarou. So talk a little bit about your transition there, and then as of recently, kind of a story where you got not thrown out of the mound, but hey, like you had somewhat of an unexpected experience that led to like, oh shit, here's a guy, right? And a lot of things that you can explore moving forward.
Yeah, I love Elon. I love it to death, and I'm so excited to be back there on Friday. It's Wednesday. I'm moving in. I'm really excited to go back up there and see all my boys again and just be back up there. Yeah, so Elon's a Division I program, baseball team. It'd be Wake Forest, who's like the #1 team in the country last year at home. I was there for that game. They beat them again this year, actually. Like they got some studs, and coming out of high school, I just wasn't good enough to go play there. But I fell in love with the school, so I went there. Played on the club baseball team there, which is, I mean, it's a lot more competitive than people think, but it's obviously like not Division I baseball. But I had a lot of fun there, and I still love like trying to become the best baseball player I can be and lifting weights and stuff like that. So that didn't really change for me once I got to college. So I just kind of kept working, and like I can't really control anything else other than like what I'm doing like what I do every day. So can't control like the opportunities and stuff I'm given. I just gotta stay the course. So I kept training, and then I came home. So I've been doing that the past like 2 years, and then I came home for the summer, and I'm interested in working sports. Like the two things that really call me right now is either like sport law or like sports analytics. One of the two right now, but there's a Rougarou like internship, like game day operations, stuff like that. Thought it'd be a good experience and wouldn't take up too much of my time since it's only like a couple nights a week. And so I guess I made a good impression on our GM about kind of how I did things as the intern or whatever, running the gate or merchandise tent or whatever the heck they had me doing. And he was running this like event, like this country music concert event, and he called me and asked me if I wanted to work it. I guess just because I proved myself at the games for a month. And then there was a lot of like downtime, like, and we just kind of got talking. He just kind of asked for my story, and I, told him I wasn't really asking for like an opportunity or expecting anything out of it. I just mentioned that I was playing, club baseball or whatever, and he's like, oh my gosh, like we need pitchers and all this stuff. So, one thing led to another. I threw a bullpen for him. It was good enough for me to get asked to come back and throw live. And I threw really, really well live. Like I was, I think I faced like 8 hitters and it's like 3 or 4 strikeouts. Like I threw pretty well, and then went to go shower before going back to intern that night, and then they were just like, "Hey, you're on the team." So I was on the team.
Hey, you're on the team.
So on the team. My first outing was in like a blowout loss. It was kind of like I remember like people like guys on the team were asking me if I was going to go throw, and I told them if it wasn't like within like 10 runs, I probably wasn't going to throw. So it was like a blowout loss. I threw in, and then I got the start, and I threw well, and I think the expectations were very, 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 very low for me. So I threw like 3 scoreless or whatever, and so everyone was pretty pumped up about it.
Dude, that's awesome. And first of all, congrats on your success, and more so not being told, but the expectation of, hey, if you're not playing Division I baseball, if you're not at this level, why even bother? Like, man, you compete no matter where you are in life. And that's really what has driven me to start this whole endeavor, is like what I want to get out of you, the same way an executive, the same way as I train a 69-year-old lady, right? Is like every time you wake up and you put your feet on the floor, you compete. And the fact that you have a chance to not only compete with yourself but against others, you have a vision to continue moving forward, to get better, right? And like, fuck everybody else, what they have to say, their expectations of you, man, is like, it starts with throwing a pin. It starts with, all right, like, give me a shot, right? When you get your shot, you have to show out. Like, you have to do your thing, man. And then you get the next one, and you get the next one. And like, confidence is built piece by piece by piece. So currently, how are you feeling going in, right? Like, what are things you need to work on as far as your mental game, as far as like really your approach to pitching? Like, what do you think their vision is of you in the program?
Well, so for the Rougarou, our summer season's over. I have already been asked to come back next year.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a good sign, but I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow, much less next summer. So yeah. I'm not too sure yet.
I miss being your age, man. Yeah, dude. Enjoy it.
I don't know what the heck I'm doing, man, but No, I think that I definitely have a lot to work on still as a pitcher. Like, people have. I mean, I've really not that it's like annoying or anything, but I've kind of been told the last like 2 weeks, or especially after that outing, like how good I was and stuff like that, and it's just kind of like
You're only as good as the last game you played.
I mean,
By the way,
but
it's
like,
just
like,
beginning.
dude, there's like, even like yesterday, like I went to the field and I went to the beach last weekend, so I went to the field after not throwing for a couple days and did like a command day and did a command day, tried out some spots, and I was freaking terrible. I was so bad yesterday. So as much as I'm told like, oh, like how good I've been or whatever and all this stuff, like I still have so much I have to work on and everything. If I really, really, really want to be good, then I got a long way to go. But we just gotta do what I gotta do today, and we'll just see, man.
Yeah.
Just gotta keep moving forward.
But you're excited about the work.
Yeah, I like doing it. I don't have to force myself to do it or anything. Like, and also like I'm not really doing anything else. Like the only thing I really be doing right now, because I'm not working right now, so maybe go to like the driving range or something.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I'm kind of like a lot of my day kind of centers around going to the gym and throwing, and it's something for me to do, but it's something I like doing, and I like being good at it. Or I like it when I throw well. I like it when I lift heavy. So that just kind of keeps pulling me back in.
Yeah. I dig it, man. And the better the quality of the work, the more you build the confidence to do better work, right? Because what got you there is not what's going to keep pushing you forward, right? And the drills and the things, and like as you move through your career and you become more elite, the work will become more intense and specific, and timing matters, and then stress matters, and hydration matters. And talk a little bit about lifting, because I know he was always like a short, kind of stocky, like broad-shouldered athlete, right? Very athletic, changes direction very well. You were always not smaller, but like a leaner frame, right? And then you came back, and apparently you found the fucking bench press, for sure. Because you came back and, dude, all right, chest and shoulders are bigger. So, like, you've always been a weight room guy, right? You've always been a good squatter, a good deadlifter. What has changed since high school, right? You always hit that about 18 or so when you get out. You find that first bump of, like, strength.
Mm-hmm.
So when you found that strength, have the compound lifts been the main thing you focus on? Or, like, is there more emphasis on really the specific exercises, or like how have you started to tie everything together?
Okay, so recently this summer it's all just been like baseball, like trying to be able to like be at my best when I go to campus. So this summer hasn't necessarily been like, this summer it's actually probably been like the softest workout stuff like I've ever had, just in terms of like how long I'm there for and the stuff I'm doing. Like, but I found it when I was like 16 probably, and it was just like I didn't like, my goal was basically just like, okay, if I hit, like I remember it was something like, it was like 155, let's say, of like, so I'm like, I'm benching 155 for 5, and let's say I hit it, then like I'd write it down, and then I'd come in either later that week or the next week, and it'd be 165 for 5. And then it would be, and then because I was like so new to lifting heavy, like I made a lot of gains really fast in terms of like my bench press just kind of skyrocketed. Like I hit 225, I think, within like 2 or 3 months of like really lifting seriously.
Where'd you hit 225 first?
I was at the Core UFC gym on Sherwood with my buddies.
Spotter or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
My buddies lifted with me. We were all doing the same 15 workout a week program.
Yeah.
So they were with me. We used to go at like 5 a.m. before school, and I hit it. But like, I think I was kind of numb to it. Like I didn't really, like. I think if I was working at it for like when I hit 315 for the first time on bench, it was a lot different than when I hit 225, because I worked for like 2 or 3 years to hit 315, and then it felt really good to like hit it for the first time. But like 225, I worked at it for like 2 months.
That's common, dude.
Yeah.
And the reason I ask is like, you remember the first time you hit 2 wheels on each side, like
vaguely.
And like, dude, your buddies, Oh no! All right, you try it. And like people try and miss 225. It's a psychological, just a thing. And once you hit it and you drive it up and you feel that sensation and like, all right, come on, man. And there's some kind of mental ceiling about it. And then you float to like, all right, 245, and then you start repping 245, and then all right, 275 is kind of a marker, but then 315 is the next like really the like, oh shit, and it's heavy, right? It's like you take it out of the rack, and that's really for me, like 315 for me was like senior year of high school, a strain with an arch back, and it was like, but I wanted it, and I remember like specifically the confidence that came with the weight, but kind of like you talked about this, like you talk about the softest workouts you've ever done. It's just that the metric, right? Like it used to be, is that heavy or is that a lot of weight? Good, it's a hard workout. Is it not? Well, then you ain't doing shit. But in actuality, is like, dude, you're throwing harder, you're running faster, your output becomes higher. Like you're a sports car now. You're not a little Honda Civic car. So like your gas and your horsepower on the field and your gas and your horsepower other places, you don't need as much of the weight room, right? But like people kind of, and they find that, I'm glad you're finding that now. Some guys go all the way through college and they have these issues where it's like, if I don't push the same weight he does, if I don't do the same things he does, I'm not going to do the things he does in the field. And some of the best athletes I've trained are long arm guys, or like they're guys that really have squirrely mechanics or big hands, and like they're not always great at lifting a straight bar, which is fine. But also you are, and like it's fucking fun, right?
I think two things. I think one, to be honest with you, when I was 16, like I thought that, because like everyone was telling me like just get stronger, right? So I think in my head it was like, okay, if I can increase my, let's say like my back squat like 50 pounds, then my velo was going to just go up just naturally. Just right. Like, even if I did the same thing, like if everything else stayed the same, but I'm 50 pounds stronger in my legs or whatever, which, I did throw a little bit harder, but not even close to like the velo jumps I'm making now. And the other thing too is like, I think my motivation wasn't necessarily, like I didn't have like a certain number in mind, like velo wise. I just told myself like I want to throw harder, and it was very vague. And it wasn't very like clear or specific. For me, it was really just like those buddies I was telling you about. It was really just a competition to like be. I mean, because like okay, like so we like on our we did push pull leg, right? Both twice a week. So we benched heavy and then did the rest of our push workout on our push days. Pull was like weighted pull ups or something. Like we like get a strap, do weighted pull ups, and then we had squat on our leg days. And like each one of us was like my buddy Cone was the strongest on squat, then I was second, and then my other friend was third, and then on like our pull days, like I was the strongest at weighted pull up, then whoever, then I was the worst on bench at that time. So even though I was benching 225 at 16, I was still like, they were crushing me. Yeah. So like everyone was like the first at something, everyone was like the last at something, and someone was always in the middle for like all three of it. So it was a really good balance because like we were all really strong and cocky. But even then though, like even today, like we have something called like Chris Max or whatever is what we call it, like Christmas with the X on it, and we go and we go on Christmas Day to Anytime Fitness. You can go whenever, and we give gifts to each other, like stupid gifts, and then we'll bench max, we'll squat max, and then like we don't want to deadlift max anymore. Like we don't feel like loading up the bar or anything like that. So we find some other alternative, and like we're still competing. We talk about Chris Max probably once a week or so still. I got crushed last year. Like I got destroyed last year pretty bad. So I'm kind of on like my revenge tour this year to try to win it again like I did the year before. But my goals were just kind of like I just wanted to be stronger than those guys.
Yeah. The golden rule to, do you want to get stronger, work out with people that are stronger than you. Mm-hmm. And like if you're the strongest guy in the room all the time, is like it's at some point you're the guy that say, hey man, how do you do that? What do you do? Blah blah blah. It's like you're the oracle. You're the person who knows everything. You got to have a guy in the room that pushes you in the weight room, right? And it's good you have this understanding, man. There's still people in my field, like, you want to put muscle mass on people. You want to get them stronger in the back squat. They are correlated that, hey man, you'll throw harder, you're pushing the mound harder, you'll last longer, but they're not exactly the cause. It's like they're related, and the relationship between one person and the other is not always the same. And sometimes there's these well-meaning coaches that just, they're young in the career. I was guilty of it, man. I was 20-something, and I said, everyone's going to fucking squat XYZ on their back. Everyone's going to hit 405 on a squat, ass to grass, get your elbows up. Like, I don't care if you can catch the ball or not, shut up and do it. And then, like, eventually you watch enough athletes and you learn and you realize it's even if they will get there, they're not there now. But if you put too many eggs in one basket, it's kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you're kind of taken away from other things. You start really thinking about, why did I miss that weight? Why aren't I with these other people? And it's also fun to lift with guys that you really know, right? Because they'll push you in a way that you, like, I had buddies of mine over the years, training partners, either interns or like, all right, like a lot of cops now. Like, my buddy's he's 55-year-old SWAT captain, and he loves the weight room. And he's like, dude, he's not pushing the weight he was. He was a meathead, right? But the fact that I'm in there pushing weight with him, he feels strong again. Even if it's like, we're doing a box squat with freaking 195, 205. Even if it's like he's got a little bit less than it's ever been, and even if that number's going down, as long as you feel strong, right? So I guess, like, tying it all together, moving forward, what do you need to focus on performance-wise to feel strong as far as plyos, sprints, change of direction, right? I mean, like, do you do any stuff in the field, or are you just pitching right now?
I'm just, I mean, pitching is just like my number one focus.
Yeah,
right
cool.
now.
I didn't know if you were still
just trying to throw as hard as I can, and all the other, like, commanding and stuff too. But for the sake of the weight room, like, I'm not working on like my fastball command. I'm working on my velo.
Yeah.
But for club, I'm probably going to play a little bit of outfield this year. But I'm not too worried about that right now.
Just get out there.
Yeah, I'm just. I'll figure that out when I get out there, but no, I mean, to be honest with you, like, I freaking hate running and changing direction. I think Tevin burned me out with that stuff when I was like 11. Shout out to Tevin, man. He made me a beast. But
you started training early though.
Yeah,
and you trained at a high level early too.
Yeah, I pushed those sleds for years, man. So they're like the thing with like the band, and the guy's pulling you, and you're doing like the whatever you call them, where you push off your outside leg and you land and it burns and it sucks and you just want to go home but you can't. Your dad's not there to pick you up yet.
You sound like an athlete, right?
You got to finish the workout. You're 14 and whatever.
Yeah. I'll do it because you're my coach, and I'll do it because we're doing it. But man, I don't want to do this shit.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So I mean, you've seen me. I still do some jumping and some running in there. I try to do it 2 times a week, and that just kind of, as much as it's like, I always feel pretty strong. For me, it's feeling like light and fast, because when I'm squatting heavy, like, it's a lot of force into the ground. It's a lot of like staying stable, staying rooted, stuff like that. I know we worked on our bench, like, that's like staying stable, and it's just different for me, like, to be able to do like some jumping, some hopping, some running. It's just kind of keeps me like, I just feel like I can be a lot like lighter on my feet, and I'm probably super slow, but I feel fast, and I guess that's a good thing. But I try to do that, but that's, for me, like, that's not really a staple to like my training. A lot of it is like a lot of it is just having a lot of like really like fast force output really often, and just hitting the stimulus, like I said.
Yeah, you'll learn more about the stimulus over the years, and
yeah.
As I've gotten older, the stimulus is how did you sleep that night? all right, how much time do I have to warm up? What equipment do I have access to? And sometimes you feel good, you start warming up and the bar feels heavy, and sometimes you feel great and you're moving the weight and then the knee flares up, and like right now you're in that kind of prime area of like, man, you're still exploring and learning, but also you just have gas in the tank. And like you just want to push the weights around. I feel like your motivation is there to train, though.
I still have so much to learn. Like I was thinking about this because like I knew you were gonna kind of ask me about like my training from like years ago, and like looking back at it now, I'm like I was such an idiot. Like I didn't know anything. But if you talked to me at the time, like I would be like, yeah, man, you know, I'm working hard and I know what I'm doing, kind of thing. But like I had no clue what I was doing, and I'm sure like you're gonna come back in 5 years and ask me how I'm training as a 20-year-old, and I'll probably say that I was the biggest idiot on the planet and didn't know what I was doing.
Dude, if I look back every almost 3 to 5 years. I've been coaching 15 years now. I look back at programs I wrote and I'm like, why did I do that to that person? Right? I was training baseball players like fucking powerlifters, right? And I came out of a football background, and I thought the things that made me successful will make everybody successful. So, yeah, just do these things that I did, and that will show you the way. And then the more you really watch and learn, it's like, that's just why I'm. And you trained me for years, right? I'm just meticulous, man. It's like, hey, how did that feel? All right, how's the weight? How's whatever? And I'm like most guilty of, look, I'll write a program. I'll write a 3 or 4 week program for people, and then we'll train 2-3 days of it and be like, yo, how's this feeling? And you just know, right? And the more you know your body, and the more you know your rhythm, and you know what works and what doesn't, if you don't feel confident in telling your coach, is like, look, man, that shit feels weird in my back, or like, I don't know about like this exercise, or we could do more of this. I really liked that. Like, I'm willing to change it. Right? As long as we're hitting foundational, fundamental principles of training, and as long as you show up, the main thing is just psychological motivation. It's that every time you step in the door, I'm going to light this motherfucker on fire, right? I don't care, even if we're just stretching and doing mobility, I'm attacking the day. And then the more you develop, really, the more specific your work comes. And sometimes it's like, where you really become a pro is like, you have to attack the boring stuff. Like, man, just foam rolling and stretching for 20 minutes. Sometimes it's boring. And sometimes you're sore. And sometimes you're just like, look, man, I got to get home and get these groceries and do whatever. Mm-hmm. But to push through that and to just make yourself do those things at a high level, like, if like, that's really when you become a pro, is when somebody else can watch you do something you don't want to do and be like, man, he's really loves it. He's really getting after it. Yeah. And really, now I fucking hate this shit, man. I'm just doing what I need to do to be successful.
Well, and that's one thing I saw with the Rougarou, because I've never played at a level that high before. I've never been around like that many high level pitchers at one time before, and like the attention to detail is like huge. It's really important for those guys. It's something I got to see firsthand, and I'll also say, and it's kind of also what you're saying, but like kind of like think about like for me, like with my benching, like whatever, like my benching story, where like I hit like 225 in 2 months, and all I really had to do to improve my bench was just to come and bench. Versus yeah. My road to 225 versus 315, it looked a lot different. There were a lot more plateaus. Like I had to be really in tune with my form. I had to be really in tune with like overloading and deloading, and how it was all going to fit in a puzzle for me to kind of hit it. Like I had to really focus a lot on like I couldn't just go in there and bench and expect to hit 315. Like I think once you kind of get to the higher level of it, like in order to like to make, you know, that the improvement when you're pretty close to the top, it's even more so like you have to really hone in on it. Like I threw harder, and I gained like I probably gained like close to 15 mile an hour throughout my high school career without even like trying to throw harder. But getting the next like 2 or 3 when you're already throwing, it's really hard thing to do.
Yeah,
you gotta like so much like attention to detail, and like it's like really the little things, because that's how you're like, if you can hone in on like every aspect, then like that you're gonna make like those jumps versus just showing up and doing it.
Yeah. Know? We'll continue to talk, even because I want to make sure we keep up, and I keep up with your training as you kind of go off, because bench press too becomes tricky in that what got you there is not going to push you forward, like you're saying. So it's going to become about, all right, strategic sets and reps. Strategic, like for me, is a dumbbell floor press. If I want to bench press more, I got to just get a couple weeks in of just straight bench press, 8, 10, 12 reps, like high volume. And then I got to take 80 to 100 pounds in a floor press and slowly ride it down and then hold. And then I have to initiate right from the triceps and just explode. And I have to do 2 or 3 weeks of just, if I can hit 100 pounds for 5 on a floor press, I go back to a bench press and I come off the chest and the elbows are torqued and I'm locked in and I feel that. But I just know it's like the return on the investment of that one exercise. But for you, it's going to be like, it may not be that exercise. It may be a combination of like back work. It may be a combination of like, man, like I've had success with some people just pulling and pushing sleds for high reps, right?
I have to do like heavy like push downs. That kind of gets me over plateau because I used to do like tricep like extensions or push downs for like 10 to 12 reps, and when I started changing it to like 4 to 5 reps, and I know I've said stimulus probably a million times today, but
it's the thing, right?
Yeah,
it's
but but like hitting your 10th or 12th rep, like the burn that you feel from that is just different from like having everything in your will to push down a really heavy weight, which is one of Max's.
Yep.
Right. Like, so it still hurts, it still burns, but it's just different. At least in my head, at least it feels different if I'm locking out on like a 3 rep max versus like a 12 rep exercise.
Yeah. Bro, it's cool though. It's because I've been training you since you were 14 and you were showing up. All right, what do I do, coach? Hey. And you're talking about the stimulus. You're talking about the little red button, right? Like there's a little red button inside of you that it could be an exercise, it could be whatever, but there's a mental approach to that last 1 or 2 reps where you have to fucking strain. Mm-hmm. And like a heavy tricep press down, some people just, 1, they don't really get the exercise, or 2, they don't really have the, like, you have the forearms and like it works for you. But it's like you couldn't do it at 14 or 16 or even 18. It's like you finally have figured out you have to do thousands of reps of the same thing perfectly to build the tissue, tendon, ligament, build the capacity to work to the last 2 reps, so that the last 2 reps, I mean, you said like you were saying, instead of 8, 6, 7, and like when you come back up for that last rep, you're like, all right, this is the fucking one. And you like right when you load and you go, all right, bitch. And like if you don't push with every single thing you have, you don't get the stimulus, you don't get the thing. And you're not worried about like the music or who's in the weight room or your buddies or whatever. It's like it becomes like you got to go nuts a little bit. That's what I love. That's what I love about training, man. Is like there's no shortcuts or download the app or fucking. It's like you're like that last rep. I'm visualizing right now, right? It's like that last rep of tricep extensions. You know you're gonna get right to here, and it's like you have to take every fiber of your being to just fucking destroy it. But then when you push that hard in that way, you're on the mound or you're traveling or you're taking a test, and like that transfers to everything in life. Like that's what I found that my passion is helping people use training in a way to just better themselves, to be the baddest motherfucker they can be in life, but it's earned, it's not given. Mm-hmm. So I guess last one, training aside, what would you tell 14-year-old Colin, you walking in the door with a big old t-shirt, like what would you tell that little dummy to do differently, either in how he conducts himself or talking to girls, or just like what have you learned in life so far, right? Like what's
I'll keep it related. I'd have a million things I tell myself probably, but I think my like I kind of came up with the goal when I was 14 that I was going to play college baseball, and I don't think I knew what it meant. I don't think I knew at that time how far I was from it, and I think I would just tell myself like how far I was from it, just to kind of give myself like a certain edge. Like when I came in here, like I was doing all the stuff I needed to do, and I really wouldn't change my path for the life of me, but it's like when you work, like if you like, we'll keep it on like working out, right? Like if I'm doing like a upper body push day, whatever, one workout, like I'm tired from work and I come in and I'm, do a certain whatever, yeah, and I'm just kind of going through the motions versus like workout B, which is like I'm really fired up and I'm really excited and I'm ready to get after it. Like the second workout's just going to be better, even though I could be doing the same exercises, the same weight, everything. Like the focus and the mental edge that you have for like the second workout it's more beneficial. And I think it would have just helped me out. Like I didn't really figure it out till I was 16, like how far I was from hitting like the goals that I had. So I would tell myself that, and also to make my goals more like specific and like objective based.
Yeah.
So instead of just saying I want to play college baseball, like, well, what? I mean, you go to a showcase, like you got to run a 60, you got to have an infield or outfield velo, you got to have an exit velo. If you're a pitcher, you need to have, like go back, like all this information's out there, like get some like I wish I would have had like some numbers in my head, like okay, when I'm 15 I want to run up 7 flat 60, and then when I'm 16 I want to run up 6'8", versus just saying like okay, like I want to play college baseball and then just showing up and doing all the stuff I thought was right. Like I didn't really have any like specific goals. I guess it's really in everything.
Yeah.
The help me a lot in the weight room was
It's very important.
Help me a lot in the weight room was like when I was 16 I was getting stronger. Like I didn't have like a long-term goal like, oh, I want to bench this much at this weight, but it was like if I had benched 155 I wanted to come in the next week and bench 160. It's just stuff like that, just having like objective numbers. It's not subjective. It's not open for like interpretation. It's just like you have a number and working to get to that number.
Yeah. No, that's what's up, dude. And I can say to wrap it up, not only appreciate you coming in, but I appreciate over the years, man. Like my job is to ask people to suffer, and like, man, running, lifting things, like you've been diligent and motivated, and you've always worked your ass off for me, dude, and I appreciate it. You've always been one of my favorites, and I'm excited to continually see your success. You're getting interviewed tomorrow by the Rougarou, I know that.
Yeah. And
sky's the limit, man. So I'll check back in a couple months and see what's up. And then until then, if you need anything training-wise, whatever, make sure you hit me up, bro.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Awesome, dude. Cool. That'll wrap it up. If you have any questions, comments, let me know. If you have any people you'd like me to see interview, things like that. Also, let me know. If there's things you didn't like, let me know, because I'm still learning. If you got shit to say it, right? I'll get there. But appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll see you next week.
Big as the what? Big as the what? Big as the Super Bowl.